So me and my British friends started rewatching the entirety of Victorious last week, and we've already binged 3 entire seasons, and we're halfway through the fourth, because it's even better than my nostalgia goggles led me to believe whenever I thought back on it. That got me thinking about the old Teen Nick program that aired alongside other Nickelodeon programs like Nick Jr. and regular Nickelodeon, because even though it still exists in the form of reruns of the shows from the program, the last new episode of any series from it, excluding Double Dare because game shows are dumb and not entertaining, that I could find from a show that wasn't total garbage like Night Squad and Sam and Cat that went off the air in 2018. I tried watching some of their new stuff, and it's all watered down childish jokes based on a barely entertaining premise like Thundermans, which just feels like a bad version of The Incredibles. So I wanted to talk about how me, as a millennial, of course, had such better shows for entertainment than these lame kids nowadays, because none of their shows have the same level of dark humor as ours, and I'm totally not making an entire video just so I can play the goddamn hilarious clips I yoinked while we were watching the show. Although most will only be sound because YouTube sucks. I'm pretty much just going to be using Victorious for examples, seeing how I've been rewatching that very recently, and because personally it was my favorite Teen Nick show, with iCarly being a close second. But the main things about the show I wanted to talk about was some specific characters that I think are some of the greatest to come out of Western television ever. Those characters being Kat, Andre's grandmother, and Psychowitz, because who the heck doesn't love a girl with a personality that is the equivalent of Happy Tree Friends as a small teenage girl, an old woman with a psyche more unstable than the Tumblr traffic after they ban not safe for work content later, and a teacher that drinks straight LSD from a coconut. Kat has some of the best moments in the show because her entire character is based around being a stereotypical, airheaded, post-pubescent white girl with intense psychological issues and a family that consists of several Ted Bundy knockoffs. Unfortunately, she doesn't have as many one-liners, so I don't have a whole lot of clips to show her off because her gags tend to be played out for entire episodes at a time. But hot damn are those gags good. One of the best ones in the show is when she gets a new phone number registered as an emergency line for a paramedic service called North Star, and spends the entire episode telling people help is on the way without actually contacting the paramedics to go and help them. With the highlight being her telling a man that he can't perform CPR on himself and not realizing that he actually just died on a Nickelodeon show. Like, this is a Nickelodeon show, right? Her constant allusions to her family are also priceless because she'll make statements like, "One time my brother got stabbed by a clown because he was up in the clown's face screaming, 'What you gonna do now, clown?' And that the clown was also her cousin Jessie." The contrast between the jokes that her character is used in and her persona, which is sweeter than a vat of liquefied donuts, makes them hit so much harder. And she has some great moments where she snaps, like when she avoids one of the other characters, Robbie, because she doesn't want to go to a dance with him, and then she does this.
Well, I just wanted to let you know you don't have to run away from me anymore.
Thanks, Robbie.
See you in class.
Okay.
She's fun and simultaneously brightens any room while darkening the conversation to a very large degree. Going on to the next character, Andre's grandmother is also a huge bonus to the cast because even though she's hardly in any of the episodes, she just brings that fun tone of being totally embarrassed by your grandparents, because since she's insane, she constantly screams things that usually consist of her problems that her grandson has to deal with, or just doing random crap. Unfortunately, I don't have any clips of this particular scene, but my favorite bit involving her is when she's in a car with the main character and asks them to hold her oatmeal before dumping it out of the bowl into her hands, and it's great. Like it's just hilarious. Here's a few other clips from her because I don't actually have anything else to say. I just think she's funny.
Andre, there's a tree in my living room, and somebody stole my ceiling.
Grandma, you're in the backyard.
Oh!
See, you gotta stop doing this.
Why don't you drive yourself?
I don't have my driver's license.
Then we get to Psychowitz, who is perhaps one of the best educators in television because he is both a great teacher who sincerely cares about his students and a continuously high hippie that constantly makes no sense and can have jokes that are totally out of the blue. Before I say anything else, here's my favorite clip of the show.
Why are you taking out your handcuffs? I don't understand what's happening. Why are you arresting me? There are 7 children in a cupcake who need me. Help! There's no children in a cupcake. Yes! They're wearing candy pajamas. Help! Help me! a gift for this year. Courtney Van Cleef? Oh, no, that kid's a freaky little weirdo.
She's my sister.
I know. I don't know why your parents didn't stop with you.
He feels experienced in caring for his students, and it really does show during the moments when he's trying to teach them something meaningful, but he can also just be a downright dick to them, and it's hilarious when he totally ignores any sense of teaching duty to screw with them in the best ways possible. I think it's extremely impressive that the writers for the show managed to make a character that stays funny and can do the random out-there jokes with it making total sense in terms of the story, while also managing to fulfill the role of an educator that genuinely helps better the students to a somewhat debatable degree by giving them life lessons that are most often in the form of bets. Speaking of life lessons, one of the other best parts of the show was the fact that sometimes the characters literally didn't learn any lessons at all, like when Kat spent an entire episode as a blonde to try and impress a boy she liked, and then the ending is perfectly set up for a stereotypical reaction of, "Oh, I should just love who I am." And instead, after this great big emotional moment between her and Robbie, her reaction is, "Wait, I could just dye my hair blonde." She doesn't learn anything from her actions, and because of that, you get a great bit of comedy because it doesn't fit her character to change how she feels about something, because half the times it will change in the next episode because she's borderline insane, and that's the joke. It was nice to have a show to watch that I didn't feel like it was necessary to pay attention to whatever subplot this episode revolved around, because I could just enjoy the jokes without having to worry about some overarching lesson it was teaching me about how to be a better person, or at least not to be a terrible person. Like in the show, there's a whole implied plot point that the main character's mother is having an affair with somebody from her father's police force, and it just never gets addressed. Its only purpose is to be like, "Oh, damn, girl, you really did that in a network television show?" Just the shock value of watching this in 2018, where everything is censored into the purgatory of mediocrity that is Western television's current state, with shows like The Thundermans, Henry Danger, and then the non-kid shows that are just a never-ending cascade of ways to get characters to sleep with each other in different workplaces, with a few gems hidden here and there that are mostly comedy shows like The Office. That's all I have to say in this video, because I wrote the script while I was watching episodes of Victorious with my British friend at like 2 a.m., so sorry if it was bad, but oh well. I'm gonna end this video with me singing the Victorious opening in a Kermit impression now. Here I am, once again, feeling lost, but now and then I breathe it in to let it go. And you don't know where you are now, or what it would come to if only somebody could hear. When you figure out how you're lost in the moment you disappear. You don't have to be afraid to put your dream in action. You're never gonna fade, you'll be the main attraction. Not a fantasy, just remember me when it turns out right. 'Cause you know that if you're living your imagination, tomorrow you'll be everybody's fascination. In my victory, just remember me when I make it shine.